I am very, very excited to be joined by Chris Kattan. Chris, how are you?
I'm doing great. How are you?
Doing A-OK, here to talk to you about many things, but we're starting off with 40 Love, which is a brand new movie coming on October 29th to select theaters and Apple TV. It's about, and I'll give you the wiki synopsis, but that's, in my words, but you can give it to me in your words after, which I'm sure will be better than whoever put it into wiki. Beak, a 22-year-old statistic whiz, believes that his Moneyball-esque skills can help the rising tennis star Louis, it's going to be a tough pronunciation, I'm sorry, Lois Kuzenkova win the U.S. Open. I'm bad with Russian last names. I've never been good at it. I'm sorry.
Oh, okay. Well, Dostoevsky is one that everyone knows. So I guess you could practice from that one.
Yes. Stalin is usually one that's easy. It's like just 5 letters.
Yeah.
It's that one's easy to get. Anytime there's like a ski or V's get involved, like I'm just like, it's too much. My tiny brain can't compute.
Brezhnev. You
Yes.
must get lost on that one because it ends with V. Brezhnev, and then you're lost.
Yes, exactly. Even like Khrushchev. Khrushchev is good. I like that name, especially when they had Steve Buscemi playing him in Death of Stalin. Was very funny.
Oh my God, that movie is hilarious.
Killed me. It's so funny. But 40 Love, in your own words, tell people what they can expect from this movie.
Well, I have not seen the completed project, to be honest with you. I have not. I've seen pieces of it in the editing room along with Fred. And the director, Fred Wolf, who's an outstanding director and very funny. I know him from the Saturday Night Live days. And of course, I saw House Bunny, and, he's worked on Black Sheep and Tommy Boy and was paid a lot. And he's a very gifted individual. And when he asked me to be part of the film, I hopped at the opportunity to work with him again. And I know that from what I've seen, it looks very, very funny and romantic. And romantic comedy is a neat thing that, I think is really important right nowadays. It's people need that. People need romantic comedy right now. I think it's an essential part of entertainment, and especially nowadays, it's a good thing to have out there.
Yeah, I completely agree. So your supporting role in this, and I think that we ask comedians this a lot whenever we have one on. Is it just for you anyway, in your experience, is it more fun to be a lead where you have to like make sure you're in every scene almost where you have to like make sure every bit of that counts versus being a supporting character where you can like really make sure that the punch you deliver is really concentrated in those scenes, which is more fun for you anyway as an actor?
I think as an actor, it's just more important to serve the role and serve the storyline. I think that's much more important than punching the joke of the scene, unless otherwise that's more important to the director, which is Fred, then it is more important. I want to do a great job and punch the joke, which was, in my case, was more about the character than it was the joke. The joke of the scene was that, I was a crazy person coming out of a bathroom along the lead character's trip. Not that I'm a crazy person, but it was a really fun role that Fred created and wrote it specifically for me, and thought I would be able, to deliver that kind of a performance for that character. And I guess I did, I suppose. And I had a blast doing it. It's very, very funny scene.
I'm glad you mentioned Fred Wolf because, obviously his very, very storied career beyond, like you mentioned, SNL, did Dirty Work, Joe Dirt, the Spade stuff, Grown Ups, and so much more. Is it easier working with the director who kind of so funny? And is it easier working with the director who's kind of made his bones in the same era as you? Like he was a stand-up, he was like working in all these same sort of environments as you?
It is. It's not just stand-up. He has a great sense of comedy alone. He may have done stand-up. He's done sketch work. He did perform on SNL as a feature player. And his background is very deep-rooted in comedy. And that is very important when you're going to have control of a project like Love 40. And you can obviously trust him if he's going to ask you to be part of his project. He's he has impeccable taste, and I don't know if you know this, but he when it came to Saturday Night Live, Will Ferrell and I were at the Growlings together, and we performed the Roxbury guys. They weren't called that then; they were just called nothing. We didn't have a name then. It was so early, and we performed that at the Groundlings, and it was him and I just doing the me, him, me, him, me, and bopping a girl back and forth and bopping ourselves, doing the head bop. And Fred said prior to the Jim Carrey show, when Jim Carrey hosted on SNL, he said why don't you add a third person? And that's what really started the whole Roxbury craze, really, at the time. And we added Jim Carrey. He was the host. So when we did that with him, it just took off. And that took Fred's mind to make that happen. That wasn't my call. That wasn't Will's call. That was Fred who said that. And then Will and I wrote it with Steve Korn. And I happened to know cheesy, crappy music back then, so I chose "What Is Love" as a theme song, and it worked out. But that all came from Fred. That came from Fred's mind, and and that's what makes this movie work so well. That's what made House Money work so well, and all the other private films that he touched. He's one of those rare pioneer people out there that every so often will, make a movie. And if he does, you hope to be part of it. That's what actors would do, especially comedians. They'd be like, what? Fred's making a movie? Oh my God. I'd either love to see it or be at least part of it. Yeah, it'd be an honor. So Fred's great. Yeah. And the cast is great too. They're very strong, very deep. They're Fred has a sense of strong, humanity, a sense of humanity, and I think that's the basis for not just comedy but for film in general. You have to be entertaining. You can't be ha-ha all the time, and so if it's not going to be ha-ha all the time, you got to fall back on something, which in this case was just being a very appealing romantic comedy character done and performed by well actors. And that's what Fred did.
Credit to yourself. He is definitely an impeccable caster. I feel like if you look at all of his movies beyond even the main roles, like you'll see like all of these side characters and people like in the periphery of the story, they're all always impeccably cast. He always has people that can like just really deliver something that, I don't know, maybe he just has a great sense for it.
Yeah, he does. Well, he's smart that way, and it's important to have that around. It's great that he is one of those people, and it's a rarity.
Of course. I like how you gave me that little behind the scenes for the creation of Night at the Roxbury, because like I feel like for most laymen, like we don't get a lot of exposure to what happened behind the scenes or what happens behind the scenes at SNL or at any sketch show, really. But one thing that came out kind of recently was that Pete Davidson had done an interview, I think, on Opie and Anthony, and he just talked about the process of like, doing a table read and like of material you have. And he's talking about bombing in front of like all of the people. He's like, we're all in Lauren's office. It's like 100 people and we're like doing a bit. And when you bomb, there's nothing you can do except essentially power through it. Because if you don't like give it 100%, people are going to get more mad than if you're half-assing and also bombing. So it was just like, I think he said he had bombed an impression in front of Chris Rock too, because he was the guest that week. And it was just a hysterical story. I was curious if you ever had stories like that. Maybe you and both of you guys, actually, you and Fred Wolf.
I don't remember bombing in a pitch, but I never really tried to be funny in a pitch. So I wouldn't say I bombed during a pitch because my expectations weren't to be funny or consider winning. It's just a pitch. You're pitching an idea to the guest host. So it's your opportunity to talk to the guest host and tell that person the idea you have that week. that you were thinking about, so that the guest host can consider doing, whether it's like in my days, it was, like you want to do a Mango character, or Mr. Peepers, or, some arbitrary, idea, like this writer, Matt Piedmont, and I were like, let's pitch an idea called Lunch Basket, which was about a restaurant called Lunch Basket, which was true. There really was a place called Lunch Basket across the street from me in Chelsea. And we're like, let's write a sketch called Lunch Basket. And, we thought it was funny. It was funny to ourselves, and that was enough. If it bombed, it bombed. That doesn't mean anything. I mean, of course, it means a little bit, but it's not. It's about the end result. That's supposed to be funny, and the pitch meeting is not the end result of something. I think so. If
Sure.
Pete expected that in the pitch meeting, that's probably too much pressure he put on himself.
Yeah,
I would say.
I would agree. It's kind of funny too, something I always was curious about, because people that listen to this podcast know, like, I do plenty of impressions. All of them are terrible, but like in my brain, I'm like, wow, I'm nailing this. I'm doing this impression so well. Did you ever like workshop an impression and you're like, wow, I'm doing this guy great, and then someone else heard it and like, are you doing that guy? Like, are you doing the same? Are we on the same page with this guy? Was there ever like,
I don't know. Yes, but I don't know if anyone's really told me like, hey, that's a bad impression. I heard like I can do Harrison Ford, and my Harrison Ford is, well, the reason why I'm Harrison Ford is that's why I'm walking with my dog in the snow, getting drunk, and
crashing
wearing
planes.
a beard once again. So that's my Harrison Ford. Now, if somebody came up to me and said that's a bad Harrison Ford, then I would know.
Yeah.
Or David Lee Roth. Zippity bop, diddy bop.
I thought they were both good. Harrison Ford's a tough one to nail too, but I can't get that same gruffness to the voice, but you got it. You got the mouth movement down. That was good.
Yeah. Or Callie, what's his name? The rapper. Another one.
Oh yeah, DJ Khaled. Yeah.
DJ Khaled, yeah. Another one.
There's
that wasn't really an impression. That was basically just like, here's DJ. It's pronounced Khaled, right? Yeah.
DJ Khaled, yeah.
I'm sorry. I didn't hear you. DJ Khaled, yeah. It's so imagine DJ Khaled at a In-N-Out Burger, saying, DJ, what would you like with some fries? You want some napkins? Yeah, another one. More napkins? Yeah, another one. So if that was a bit, that's not really a very good impression. But I was
that's great.
Is it pretty good?
I mean, again, it's only the one phrase, but yeah, no, I think you got that one phrase down.
Another one. Thank you. For my audition for SNL, I did Christmas Slater interviewing a vampire, which was kind of like, so the story you're telling me is amazing. It's incredible. So you're a vampire? I had no idea.
Hey, it worked. There's one sketch in particular, one that didn't get aired on SNL. It was Gus Chiggins, and that one, every time I watch the Gus Chiggins, the old Prospector one, it makes me cry laughing because it is so
Everyone
funny watching.
To love that sketch. It was so fun doing, and we broke character, of course, because Will was so funny, and my God, he was so funny. Like, I'm Gus Chiggins. And I played the manager, or the general that was sending people off to war. And in the audience, who played the soldiers were Seth Meyers and Tracy Morgan and Daryl Hammond and Jimmy. And they could not stop laughing. And nor could I.
It was so funny. I think you had
a little bit more, but it was hilarious because Will was so damn funny.
I think you had almost a harder time at it because essentially you're standing in front of all of them, and all of them, the entire room is breaking right in front of you. So you being able to hold your composure, I think was very impressive.
Well, I tried my best. I still broke character. I mean, I smirked. If you watched old Prospector, you'll see them like, old Prospector. But it kind of went with the character. But I was slightly laughing or trying to. I was inside. I was busting up because it was Will. But I was trying to do my best not to, show that I was dying laughing.
Is there any other sketch you guys maybe did that got cut?
Tracy was so funny in that sketch. What was that?
Oh, was there any other sketch that you guys did that maybe got left on the cutting room floor that should have went up?
Not that I know of specifically. I mean, there's many. Yeah, of course. But off the bat, I can't really think of one. I remember doing one with Bill Murray where I played his son. That was kind of a juvenile that would just go, "Whatever, Dad. Oh, man." And it was kind of a, and Bill Murray was like, "Oh, God, my son, I'm going to go swimming. Oh, man." He's like, "Please don't go swimming right now." "Yeah, I want it, Dad. Whatever. Oh, man." That was the catchphrase, "Fa man." And that never really made it. But it was, I also did the coffee guy. There was a guy with coffee going, "Everybody wants some coffee? U-band in the morning, folders in the afternoon." That was a silly character, but that didn't make it. But I did get to do the one that I just mentioned with Bill Murray was actually became a waiter in a restaurant. So that ended up working out.
Mm-hmm. The seeds of that turned into something else. There's a beauty to that too.
Fred was so when I got on the show, he was really rooting for me as a performer, and I really, really looked up. I do look up to him, and I really appreciated that he did that for me. I mean, Lauren looked up to me too. I what I mean is Lauren looked out for me as well on the show. I started 6 seasons before the end of the show. Before the end of the season, which is an odd time to start. So I felt like I had some pressure in order to prove myself that I can perform and catch up to the rest of the cast that season, and I did when Will called me and said that Lauren would like you to join the cast. I was like, okay, sure, that'd be great. Obviously that was the first time I was ever in New York, and I met Fred, and Fred used to, he was a feature player, and he did Weekend Update with Norm a few times, and Fred Wolf. He also was in a sketch with me where I played a drill sergeant, a guy who my character was called Sewell Forrester. That was basically spoke gibberish, and he would talk to the soldiers and say like, "Shiny boo, soldier." And Fred was one of the soldiers. Then he popped up when I was an air traffic controller, being the same guy. The joke is you can't understand him, so you put him in a place of being someone who you rely on to communicate, yet you can't understand what he's saying. So that was a joke, and Fred was great to work with in those sketches, But I really like working with him as a director. It's an absolute, it's a dream to work with him. He's one of the best out there.
It's 20-something years later. You guys are still getting together and making movies and making stuff. There's a very deep beauty to that.
Yeah, it is. Really, it is. I mean, I think we all know what works and what doesn't. We know that if it worked before, then it must work again. So anytime Fred does a project, I'd love to be part of it. He's brilliant. He's a really brilliant writer and creator. Definitely is.
I
And
found
that's why
a
I'm
very
excited to
interesting.
be part of. I'm sorry.
Oh yes, no. You, as I was gonna say, you should be absolutely excited. And again, 40 Love coming out October 29th in theaters, limited theaters, and Apple TV Plus. I found out a very interesting movie fact about you today. Well, I was just looking something up. I found out something very, very interesting. It is around the movie Corky Romano, a movie I loved growing up. You know, me and my parents we watched that all the time because they were big. They loved like crime movies and they loved like spoof parody movies, SNL stuff. They loved You, of course, and they still do. My mom still watches that old SNL stuff all the time. Used to watch that all the time. But so basically, there's one actor right now that's getting a lot of talk the last few days. His name is Robert Pattinson. He's the new Batman for the new Batman movie coming out soon. And he is a huge, massive fan of Corky Romano. I don't know if you're aware of this.
Can you believe that? He is one of his favorite movies of all time is Corky Romano.
He said, literally, it's one of the only films I've pissed my pants at, like actually pissed my pants. And like, it's in the Wikipedia entry for the movie. Like Robert Pattinson's top 15 movie ever, Corky Romano. I would have expected it to be something more British, more artsy, whatever. No, he loves the stuff that we love.
I know. Is that funny? I was so flattered. Yeah. Jimmy texted me that night and said, "Are your ears bleeding?" Because, you know, you got to watch the episode tonight because Robert Pattinson literally said Corky Romano is one of his favorite films of all time. I was like, wow, that is so flattering. You'd be surprised that it's quite a cult classic, you know. I always, you know, thought that, you know, it's been poo-pooed a little bit here and there, but all films have, you know, and all comedies have, you know. So, you know, Robert Pattinson loves it.
Critics will always poo-poo a comedy, like you're saying. It's so objective of a genre or subjective rather of a genre that like critics will always, and we just interviewed the guys who did Super Troopers as well, and like they'll always crap on any movie that doesn't like apply to their very, very delicate sensibilities. They're there for the drama movies, and they are not there for movies that are meant to make a wide variety of people laugh. You know what I mean?
Right. Yeah. But I think it made a lot of people laugh, and it was great to work with Vanessa Shaw and Peter Falk and Chris Penn and Peter Berg. You know, it was a great cast. So, and Zach Galifianakis was in it, and you know, it was a great honor to work with those guys. You know,
it's weird to think Peter Berg too went on to like direct a whole bunch of movies as well. Like, obviously, that's nuts.
Oh, he's brilliant at that. Yeah, made some great movies, especially the ones with Mark Wahlberg, and you know, that one with the Will Smith and Charlize Theron.
Yes. Before we go, and again, 40 Love releasing on October 29th, Apple TV Plus and select theaters.
Yeah.
We love to ask you, because we ask all of our guests this. We do what we call a 6-pack. So basically, you give us 6 movies. It could be movies that you like, movies that are guilty pleasures, just movies that are on your mind. Just 6 movies you think people should watch.
I would say Casablanca. I would say Citizen Kane. I would say Lawrence of Arabia. I would say Children of Paradise, which is a French film. I would say The Red Shoes, which is a French film as well. I would say I think Truffaut goes up there, like maybe Jules and Jim. Maybe I would say Kurosawa's Seven Samurai, or Rashomon, or Yojimbo, or Sanjuro, or I would say, for me, I mean, I love those films, obviously, but if you're talking about the general public, when it comes to people that just want to see something that's not subtitled, maybe. Raiders of the Lost Ark, I love. That's probably my ultimate go-to film. It is brilliant, and I think it sounds like somebody's making some construction going on, but not in my place. I apologize.
Trust me, there's a weird noise coming from this office. No, and that's great. That's an amazing selection. I mean, I have Seven Samurai, Criterion. I sitting in my house right on the big shelf, like Dead Center, a whole bunch of other Kurosawa stuff. I love those movies.
Maybe put a Bond in there for Russia with Love.
Sure.
You know, there's so many good movies. There really is. But House Bunny is also one of my favorite comedies. It really is. Anna Faris is so funny. She's such a funny actress, and Fred Wolf did such a good job of that movie. And that's one of my favorite comedies. It really is. House Bunny. It really is.
No, I don't know. Actually, I think someone in our office, I forget who I know, is obsessed with House Bunny. I think they actually have a poster of it, if I remember correctly, up somewhere in their house. But trust me, you're not alone. And if you're listening to this and you're hankering for any more Fred Wolf, make sure, again, 40 Love releasing October 29th, select theaters and on Apple TV. Chris Kattan, thank you so much for joining me.
You're welcome. Thanks for having me, man.